Good day. Welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Based on utterances by official DOM in the persons of Vice President Bara Jagdeo and Chairman of the task force leading the Gas to Shore project on the Guyana end, Winston Brassington, Guyana did in fact manage to renegotiate the 2016 PSA on the matter of the treatment of natural gas, but appears unwilling or unable to renegotiate other terms of the agreement, more so royalty and taxes. He suggested that Brassington cannot be unaware that the 2016 PSA expressly provides for production sharing on a 50-50 basis on profit gas at Article 11 of the agreement. Additionally, the PSA at the subsequent article dictates friendly negotiations where Exxon believes that improved terms are necessary, and further, the contract dedicates a whole Article 13 to the valuation of natural gas. As Chartered Accountant Christopher Ram questioned, does the government not wish Guyanese to know that it submitted itself to Exxon on renegotiation of the gas terms of the agreement, but was unwilling or unable to have Exxon renegotiate on royalty and taxes? Not having done it elsewhere in the world in Exxon's global experience over the last many years is not reason for not doing it now in Guyana. If it's necessary to promote sustainability, we are going to ensure that that happens. This was the assurance given by Vice President Bara Jagdeo. The former head of state said in his presentation that Guyana is cognizant of the fact that the country holds world-class resources, also referencing the words of a previous speaker, president of ExxonMobil Upstream Oil and Gas Company, who said there must be a partnership for investors to make money as well as the people of the country to benefit. At the same time, Jagdeo said the government is often told by the oil companies that they have never done that before or we didn't do that elsewhere. He said the relationship with the oil companies has not been easy, but once the government knows clearly what it wants out of this relationship, they have been accommodative. Even though Jagdeo said the government did not heed the threats of local content shutting down the oil sector, his party has refused to change the lopsided production sharing agreement signed with Exxon in 2016 over fears that the oil company would cease operations here. In other news, Anthony Pierre of West Randveld Estate Scheme was early Monday morning killed in a motorcycle accident on Blessingen Road, Georgetown. According to police reports, around midnight on Monday, the 21-year-old motorcyclist was driving his motorcycle on Blessingen Road in the vicinity of the Botanical Gardens, heading south, reportedly at a fast rate of speed, when he lost control and fell off his motorcycle. As a result, it was reported that Pierre collided into a utility pole on the eastern parapet of the road, where he suffered several injuries to his head and about his body. Emergency medical technicians who were contacted responded to the incident and pronounced Pierre dead at the scene. And I'll just tell you, New Mexico has introduced a bill that could increase the current 20% royalty the state receives from oil and gas companies to 25%. This move by New Mexico, a state in the southwestern United States, comes at a time when ExxonMobil, the operator of Guyana's Stabroek Block, which has an estimated 11 billion barrels of oil, pays a mere 2% royalty to the country. The 2016 deal Guyana signed onto has been heavily criticized as being lopsided, and civil society groups and citizens have been calling for a renegotiation of the contract, but their calls have fallen on deaf ears thus far. The Albuquerque Journal reported that the legislative initiative by New Mexico could not only raise the royalty rate for oil and gas produced on state lands, but could potentially generate up to $84 million in new annual revenue. Senator Bill Tallman said it doesn't make sense to prohibit the state from charging market rates on our resources. And just before we head to a short break, let's tell you the 9 men who were arrested for alleged acts of terrorism at the Monrepo market last year were on Monday released on $300,000 bail each after they were charged for the offense. Making their first court appearance in the Sparendam Magistrates Court were Tony McCannon, Terrence Adolphus Ned, Anthony English, Carlos Kingston, Mark Hercules, Keon Glasgow, Julian Peters, Dave Berkshire, and Philip Burke. The men appeared before Magistrate Alicia George. You listen to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is the news at noon. We'll return shortly after the break.
Wanting to protect your family during these difficult times of COVID-19 is natural.
Stay at home, wash your hands often, and don't touch your face.
Yes, Daddy.
But are you doing these things too? And do you practice social distancing? Do you keep 3 to 6 feet away when you're shopping? Or at least stay an arm's length away in the supermarket? Remember, children learn from adults. So if you're not obeying the precautions, neither will they. We have to work towards the new normal together to keep our families safe and protected. Be part of the solution, don't add to the problem. Teach by example and do the right things.
A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
This is GHK Lall, inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues, immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. A magnitude 6.3 earthquake struck southern Turkey near the Syrian border late Monday, setting off panic and further damaging buildings 2 weeks after the country's worst earthquake in modern history left tens of thousands dead. Two Reuters reporters said the tremors were strong and lasting, damaging buildings and leaving dust in the night air in central Antakya city, where it was centered. It was also felt in Egypt and Lebanon, Reuters reporters said. The European Mediterranean Seismological Center said the tremor struck at the shallow depth of 2 kilometers or 1.2 miles. Police patrolled Antakya, while ambulances rushed to the quake-hit area near the city center. 2 people fainted, while others filled the streets around the Central Park, making emergency calls on cell phones. Reuters saw Turkish rescue teams running around on foot after the latest quake to check on residents, most of whom were living in temporary tents after the tremors 2 weeks ago. In other news, the Environmental Protection Agency on Monday commenced a series of consultations with the public to discuss impacts from ExxonMobil's fifth oil project, Uaru. Even though the environmental impact assessment, which forms the foundation for the discussions, is incomplete, environmentalist Simone Mangal-Joly, in a letter to the executive director of the EPA, Kemraj Parsaram, dated February 18th, alerted the regulator that the assessment submitted by Exxon's consultant, Acorn International, is not certified since the developer's signature is missing. As pointed out before, this can have serious ramifications as the company can walk away disowning the study in the future. Yesterday, the EPA started public stakeholder engagement, even though the study has not been signed. Efforts to contact Parsaram were not successful. ESSO, together with the EPA, has announced its schedule for face-to-face sessions to be held with the public as the developer aims to develop its fifth project in the prolific Stabroek Block. To this end, it was explained that the environmental impact assessment together with the environmental impact statement have been submitted to the EPA for the evaluation and recommendations. As such, 8 separate 2.5-hour sessions have been earmarked across 6 of Guyana's 10 administrative regions, beginning yesterday at the Flavios Hall, Santa Rosa, Region 1. 9 families who were previously squatting along the Sea Defense Reserve at Annandale, East Coast Damarara, received the keys to their new homes, marking a significant step towards better living conditions. On Monday, Housing and Water Minister Colin Crowell handed over the keys to the low-income 2-bedroom homes that were built at Annandale new scheme. He explained that the initiative was sparked by a visit made by President Ali to the community in September of 2022. At the time, 15 families were informed of the government's plan to relocate them to a safer and wholesome community. And at this time, we close things off with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News, of course, dedicated to being blunt. Loans could kill us. The only thing that the PPP now know is borrowing. The thing that the PPP prioritizes is raiding the oil fund. That is a trap that could tie Guyanese hand and foot. Where would the PPP financial mandarins be then? Who but Guyanese will be left holding, fetching the debt bag? And on that note, to wrap things up, I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.